Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Real Producers Live, hosted by Jordan Espeseth, the owner and creator of North DFW Real Producers Magazine. I'm going to bring Jordan in now. Good morning, Jordan. How are you?
What is up, Mr. Wilson? I'm good, man. Yourself?
Man, it's good to be Lendon Wilson. That's all I can say. I've got zero complaints. Some days are better than others, but today's a good one. So
that's good. Man.
How's everything going? How's things at Real Producers?
Hey, everything's great at Real Producers, and I'm super excited about one of our partners that we have coming on, and the guest that he brought with, as well as one of my all-time faves. And so I'm really excited about today.
All right, well, let's get them in here. We've got Andy Tuttle and James Sharp. Jordan, I'm going to let you introduce them and talk a little bit about. There they are. Welcome, gentlemen. Jordan, tell us a little bit about your guest.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andy Tuttle has him and I met a while back. The first time we met was at Whiskey Cakes. I don't know if you remember that, Andy.
Probably not. Couple of bad directs.
And Andy's been an awesome partner of ours since the beginning, and he's with now with MidAmercia Mortgage. And we actually just got done. That's why we're a little bit late to this call. We just got done doing a little interview because we're involved with a mastermind group that he puts on, and so we're doing some fun stuff with that. And someone that I very much look up to, and is a very respectable man, and is someone that I love to refer to as Professor Tuttle because he's kind of got that vibe to him. So he's got
my ascot. I need my ascot, then I'd really be a professor.
So he's got some cool stories, and he's an interesting human. And then he brought along James Sharp, who is with JP & Associates, and is an agent that we actually featured in our I believe is our fourth ever issue of Real Producers, and he was our inspirational agent. So James has an awesome story as well, someone that I very much love and respect, and I'm pumped to have both these guys on the show with us.
Awesome. Well, let's get started then. Let's get started. Andy, we're going to go with you first. I want you to tell everybody that's watching a little bit about who you are, what you do, how you got started, and then we'll go to James and let him do the same.
Sounds good. I've got to take just a couple of minutes here, but I am in residential home lending. Been doing it 18 years. I was actually, when I got into this, I was like 22 years old. And I used to be in a rock and roll band. We actually just got done playing a show at the Gypsy Tea Room back then when it was around, and we had come home, and I was living with the guys I was in the band with, and just doing stupid stuff and being idiots. And for the second time in about 3 years, I feel God was just like knocking on me like, hey, buddy, is this really what you want to do with your life? And so that was the cutoff point for me. They moved to New York. I stayed here, kept doing home loans. And things went well for a while, but I was a young kid and made a lot of mistakes there and got caught up in the financial crisis, lost a couple of rental properties, got everything just ripped away from me on that because of my poor decisions, and kind of realized that I was doing it wrong. And then a couple of years later, I met this guy, we'll call him Bill. And Bill was one of the forefathers of the subprime industry. And back in the day when, of course, you didn't have to have any credit, any income proof, nothing, you could just get a home loan, and people were getting homes they had no business getting. This was the guy that helped bring that to the market. And then a couple of months before the financial crisis really took hold, he got wind of it, started working for a government task force to shut down the same banks he helped start. And so I was really just disgusted and angry and sad. And I was like, man, why did I stay in this? But through that, a lot of prayer and support from my family, man, we decided to do it different. So for the last 10 years, 11 years now, we've been really focused on education, not only to our clients on what is fiscally responsible for them, how do you use a home loan as a financial instrument to make sure that you have the right strategy for your lifestyle goals, right? And not getting house rich and cash poor, but also education to our realtors on how to build a business that doesn't drain them of their life and help and makes them suffer, versus having a business that helps them grow, provide the value they want to provide, but also have the life for their family they want to have, like James Sharp.
All right. Well, that's a good segue, Andy. You act like you've done this before. Welcome, James. How are you?
I'm doing great, bud. Thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for being here. Always exciting to meet the people that Jordan knows, and just real producers, Jordan, and what that does. It really does connect some high achieving people out there, some really intelligent people, and the way they approach business. James, again, thanks for being here today and coming on with us. I want you to take just a few minutes and what Andy did. Tell a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Certainly, I'd be happy to. And it's kind of like as a good wives' tale, it's always a intersection of life that happens when you have this opportunity. I just recently moved to the Dallas area, was trying to find a real estate agent, got hooked up with an agent that probably had a different agenda than me. And we nearly lost our lives in looking for a house, no joke. It was the day that I'll never forget where my guy was an agent. He was on his phone, talking on the cell phone. He was smoking a cigarette, and he was trying to read his MapScope. Back in the day, we had the MapScope maps, and he didn't know where he was going. So we were going out to look at some houses, and accidentally crossed the median into oncoming traffic on Northwest Highway. No joke. So we have these cars honking their horn and swerving. It was something like out of a movie. And I'm like, oh my God, stop the car right now. There's a big problem here. And he's like, what? And he almost dropped a cigarette in his lap, and he was like, what? And he's fumbling around, and he dropped his phone. And I said, take us back to the hotel. We're done. We're done with you. We're done with finding a house with you, bud. And I called his boss, and I said, boss, you got a big problem here. You got somebody that's less than professional, less than ethical. And my wife and I, we want to buy a house, but we're not buying it with this guy. And if you won't, get us taken care of, we're out of this relationship. And he's like, no, we got you. And hooked us up with a tremendously 180-degree agent. She was a top producer with this brokerage. Did a 180 on us, said, hey, let me hear. I've heard you had some horror stories. Up to that point, we had been looking for like almost 2 weeks. I hadn't found anything. It was so crazy. So, and I had a specific, I want to be in this kind of house with this kind of, amenities with this price point. She goes, I got it. One outing, we looked at 4 houses, and I bought one. The one I liked, of course, had multiple offers on it. She says, no worries, I've been here before, and negotiated all the way through. And during that negotiation, she said something to me that just stuck. She goes, you'd be perfect for real estate. You'd be perfect for this company. And they're opening up a new office around the corner from where you're buying this house. And I said, hallelujah. And I had just got here, didn't have any real good contacts of what I wanted to do. So I got in real estate, and I said, if that Yahoo can sell real estate, there's a problem with this industry, and I want to change it. I want to make a difference. And here we are, almost 20 years later, over 1,000 families impacted. I think I made the right choice.
Sounds like it. Jordan, what do you have for these guys? I've got, of course, they sent me out some information before the show. Obviously, trying to do my homework, and we're gonna kind of address Andy first, because Andy's got a time constraint today, and then we've got some really exciting stuff to talk about with James that Andy's involved with too. But I want you to go, Jordan, first. If you've got any questions for him before I get into some of the questions that I want to talk about the things that you feel like are making the difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. First, I wanted to ask James: is there Yahoo real estate agents out there? I mean,
this guy is.
I thought there was Zillow, and Yahoo's got it too.
That's awesome. Well, actually, I was going to ask Andy. There's a ton of different loan officers out there, and obviously one of the reasons that you and I got connected is because several top producing agents were recommending you. You work with a lot of the best agents out there. You're by many people's standards one of the best that's out there. What would you say? And Lendon was maybe going to go here, but what makes you different than a lot of the other agents out there or lenders out there, and why would people want to use Andy Tuttle and compared to some of the other people out there?
Yeah, I think from a realtor's perspective, I would love to hear James' opinion on this too, because he's really the one to ask. But what I think as far as why realtors probably use me, I think I have maybe a more understanding of what the realtor goes through than most, because I grew up in a house with a realtor. My mom was a realtor for 35 years. She just retired last year. And so I've experienced as a kid the roller coasters, right, of the real estate life, especially when you're getting started, and all the things that can go wrong and all the challenges and the highs and the lows. And actually, one of the reasons I got into this business is she was complaining about lenders. And I just got back, I think, from a mission trip with my dad to Africa. He was a missionary most of my young adult life, and we built hospitals and bridges over there and tried to show our faith more than just share it. But I think I just got back from that. She was complaining. I was like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll serve that need. I like sales professional too. I've sold knives and cars and all that. But I think having a perspective and an understanding of maybe what the realtors go through has helped. And, again, I'd like to hear from James, but potentially, I believe my effort in making sure that I'm doing everything I can to add value to the realtor, take care of the client the right way, and no matter what happens, make sure the agent looks good. And I am doing my part where I'm not just trying to do loans. I'm not transactional. And James, you can confirm this, but I really try to be relational. I understand I'm a part of the team, and that the trust, when a realtor gives me a referral, that's their reputation on the line. I don't know how long they've worked with that client. They could have known him for years or a day, but they are transferring that trust to me. And if I don't honor that, then I break everything down. And I think I respect that a lot. And I believe that all of the other things that I do to help support them really stem from that. And I think it's sensed out in the marketplace, and they appreciate that. James, is that a fair assessment? Anything else you want to add?
Way too modest. I was going to say Obi-Wan Kenobi of mortgages. But another point too, for all the business professionals out there, anybody that's in the industry of real estate, like Andy said, I would be remiss to say, when we work on some of these deals, you have to have your partners involved. And Andy and I call it our brothers from other mothers. It was just like maybe separated at birth, we're twins from, a different point. But, when we go into these deals, it's like this, arm in arm. And yeah, he's right. I do give over, I call it the keys to the Ferrari. Here she is. This is my baby. I worked hard. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and equity to get to this point. She's got some really good opportunities under her, but do take care of her. And he does. One thing is I will say, distinction there is, when we have these multiple offers, we're in a hot market when this is being recorded. And when you have that personal touch, like he'll get on the phone, even on a Saturday, on Sunday, I'll say, hey man, give her the warm fuzzies, make her feel good, or make him feel like we're the rock solid.
The listing agent. Yeah, I call the listing agent.
That is the difference making. And he just is there from start to finish, every type of loan, every step of the way. It doesn't matter if it's $100,000 or $1 million loan.
Yeah, I even like to kind of piggyback off that. Obviously, I'm not a real estate agent, and I have never used, Andy per se for a loan. But I've worked with him a lot over the last couple of years and been around him. And one thing I do know about Andy that I really appreciate is the fact that he's always trying to find different ways to add value. And he mentioned that, but he's always trying to, how can he be of value to the agents? And how can he, we want to talk about Mastermind DFW a little bit, but putting that together and having these group of top agents coming together and having, it's a lot of additional work that he doesn't have to do that, but he knows gives value. And so I think that's a big thing that stands out to me is he's always looking, how can he raise the bar of those that he works with?
Well, you guys, I need to come to this more often. I'm feeling so encouraged. It's great. I have a very fragile ego, so this is very wonderful.
And he's got a great head of hair, which
stop it. You stop it right now.
Radio voice, second to none.
Quaff. Look at this. I gotta cover it all just to get the hair so it doesn't look quite as bald.
Remember we told you it's right here, Andy. Right?
That's right. I gotta do this. Hold on, guys. Let me right there. Now this is perfect framing.
There it is.
I would say this too for realtors, since we talk on that in clients, 30 seconds. The biggest thing everything I do stems from three things for realtors. So, it is important that I do mostly work with top producer realtors, and they mostly have teams. And so I'm working with their buyer specialists. And then I work with a few that I feel are like the corny phrase rising stars that I feel like have potential. But my three things that I really focus on for agents is I want to help them be better at lead generation, prospecting and conversion, better at team building, because as James can tell you, that is a different skill set and a big challenge. When you do it right, it helps you have balance and harmony in your life. And then three is run a profitable business. And so that's what I work on every day. And I share that because there's a lot of agents out there that even do a ton of production, but they don't know how to run a business. They ain't making no money. And that's not worth it either. So those are the three things I focus on. And I think the piece that goes to the client is I'm going to tell the client, like every other bank, what they're pre-approved for max, because that's what we have to do. Man, I have tough conversations with clients. And I've lost clients. I've lost realtors because they want to push them in a house they got no business buying. And I tell you what, man, I've had people that have gotten divorced a year later in a house that I didn't want them to buy, but the realtor pushed it. And I let go of those agents. The client has to come first, their well-being, because one, it's the right thing to do. Two, like, I don't want to be a part of the gross narrative that Bill I told you about earlier. And those banks, they're back. They're just like, hey, yeah, come over here. We'll just do all this stuff again. Yeah, don't worry. Do whatever loan you want. No, we got to be fiscally responsible. We got to take ownership. We got to be smart about the loans that we're going to get and how we're going to use our money if we want to live and provide for our family. And I'm very focused on that with clients. And I make sure to have those hard conversations up front.
And Andy, isn't that though the true definition of being relational versus transactional? That you're looking out truly for the best interest. You're serving the other person, not looking to serve yourself. I had a mentor tell me one time when he first started talking to me about being relational versus transactional. I'm like, but my job is to generate revenue, right? So that's transactional. He goes, yes, but you can be relational. But the thing that you have to do is you have to focus on serving them. Andy, you're talking about serving the real estate agent, not yourself. You're talking about helping them grow.
Right.
And then in turn, talking about putting the person in the most optimal mortgage that they can. And to me, I love to hear those things because I came through 05, 06, 07 in the mortgage business when it was purely transactional. That's all it was.
You still have the scars to prove it, Lendon. You still have the scars, right?
I've got plenty of scars. Absolutely. It was brutal.
Yeah.
But you guys are speaking my language when you talk that. So, James, talk a little bit about what it's like to work with Andy. I know you have a little bit, but share with anyone else out there just how he, in being relational with you, how that relationship works back and forth.
James is in a
he's in a
stare.
Did he freeze?
This is his stare. He gets in this type of stare.
I know. I've seen this face before.
I've seen his face.
Give him a minute.
We'll bring him. Here he's back. I think he's back. Let's see if we've got him now.
We'll be back
after the short break.
This is where you normally cut the commercial.
Right.
Are you there? Are you there with us, James?
Uh-oh.
I'm here. Can you see me?
Okay, we can hear you. You're just not moving very much. It's like the movie Frozen.
It's all good.
Technology, man.
Don't let it go, James. Let it go.
I can see you guys just fine.
All right.
Yeah, you're good now, James.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard the question.
So talk a little bit about that relationship with Andy and
how
you mutually work. Yeah, that's why he froze. He didn't want to say anything else good about Andy.
Sorry, feedback. Can't hear you.
Bars are going
Next question. Sorry.
It's like they're playing taps here. All right. No, the relationship here, it's like he said. I mean, just like a couple weeks ago, we had a client that we had referred, or we were working to collaborate together, and there was a change in the qualification, and it made a difference in his monthly payment and what he was actually going to be saving overall. And he's like, man, I just want to know that, this is the best interest of clients. Are you guys good with this? And I said, absolutely, totally good, because we got a mutual, like I said, togetherness on this deal. What's good for the goose, good for the gander, we're all on this. And where I love with Andy, and especially his attention is, where his focus goes, his energy flows. So his focus is on the client first, and then his agents next, and then on his team and the support cast and his partners. And what I really did with that is when I called clients up afterwards, I said, hey, how was it? And he was like, man, I had a client who's extremely analytical, engineer type. She goes, man, Andy would just spend the time, would go through everything from A to Z. And he just said, man, that guy grilled me, but I was committed because he's part of you, James. And that's what it's been like working with Andy, just from start to finish.
Love Andy, it. I'm a bit curious. I mean, you've worked with an enormous amount of real estate agents. I'm sure some that are amazing, some that are maybe on the opposite side of that spectrum.
Yeah.
When you look at working with James, who's clearly a top producing and a true real producer, what's different about working with James compared to a lot of the other agents out there? Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And who's the interesting is love. I'm enjoying the love fest here. I hope it's valuable for your listeners on this, but I think one of the things that all realtors could take away from James, and really any business professional, is if you go back to the relationship base, that's a word that like, yeah, I'm relational. And Lendon, you did a good job of really defining that better. But as far as it works in action, most people will say that and they'll send an automated email, right, that gives touch points, which is decent. And they'll have some template, letters, notes that their team sends, and maybe a gift at closing, maybe. And they call that relational. So James, and anyone they won't steal it. So James, don't worry. But I know you wouldn't be anyway. This boy loves on his clients like you've never believed. This guy, what he does over and beyond on the gifting, on the extra effort to show love, not just in cards, but he has these wonderful client appreciation events. So many of them, but I'll just mention the one because my kids are so impacted by it. He does the Willy Wonka chocolate factory once a year on the National Ice Cream Day, right? And you did it on Zoom this year, but because of, obviously COVID. But man, he dresses up full Willy Wonka, invites his clients and partners, gives them all ice cream, takes them to, what's that called? What was the place? The
Hi Sweeties in Plano, Texas.
Oh man, Hi Sweeties in Plano. This is just one example. And he's loving on his clients, doing giveaways, giving them a place to connect and get ice cream. My kids still call him Willy Wonka. When they see him, like, are we going to see Willie today? Oh, I mean, they are committed to it, and it's wonderful. But that's what I would say. What I love about James is, man, that client is first. He does treat them like family. And part of that is his past. That's why he does the sharp shoes things too, is just give. He's a giver's gain guy, right? And he started one of the biggest networking groups in Texas still. That's all about doing it the right way. And I'll say anybody could take really care for your clients, man. Stop thinking about the paycheck. You got to put that out the window. You got to grind it with them. That's what you're there to do. That's your fiduciary if you're a realtor. And you have got to put them first. Stop pushing them into higher priced homes. If they don't buy now, but you treat them right and you take care of them and aren't lazy, your follow-up, they'll come back to you later and they'll send you referrals. Do you agree with that, James?
Absolutely. I'm testament to it right now. I got $1.5 million in production right now with two sides where a client I've done 6 transactions with. Yeah. And started out when the lady was a single gal, and then she got engaged and they got married, and she had a house sale, he had a place, they had to buy a place together, blah, blah, blah. And now we're going into the next stratosphere. And it's just been, that was 15 years ago, and staying in touch and stuff. And guess what? The wife just won my, I gave 5 golden tickets on Sunday for the top ice cream flavor because we couldn't gather together dang COVID. But I said, well, I can do the workaround. So I brought Willie back, making Willie great again. And all this ice cream. And it was so awesome. And she's like, man, that's what I love about you, James, is you just go the extra mile.
You do.
It's so fun. It's fun. I had fun doing it.
James, I still have on my fridge in Frisco, I still have a photo of us I think it was in 2018 when you did the Willy Wonka. I still got that on the fridge, right? It's not coming down.
Yeah, it's good times.
So I got 2 quick questions for James and Andy, and then I've got, because I know Andy's got, we're going to be running short on time here. So I got a question for Andy, but just listen to both of y'all. Like I said, I love these type of conversations because I do think that in professionalism, sometimes we do kind of forget about what it's like or what it means to be relational. And what I'm hearing from you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm right, is that there are 2 opportunities we have when we're getting ready to do business with somebody. We can show that this particular thing we're doing together matters or that they matter. And if we're showing that they matter, I think that that's where we can make the deepest connection. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm hearing from you guys. Would you agree with that, Andy and James?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it reminds me of a quote, and I believe this was from Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the best books. Everybody should read it. Still holds true today, but he says there's it's an example in one of the stories he tells. Basically, there's two types of people. The one where after you talk to them and you leave, you feel like they're the most important person in the room. And the other one, when you leave, you feel like you're the most important in the room. I want to be the second person. When somebody meets me, I want them to leave and feel like they are the most important. And I think that kind of goes to your point, Lendon, about getting your mind right and your perspective right on what you're there to do. Make it less about you, focus on the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
See, I told you.
And I think in our business,
Obi-Wan, baby.
do what now?
Wonderful nuggets. I'm the
Light
Cider opener.
Oh, look at that. Okay, so here's my question. We got 4 minutes before Andy has to jump off here, and I've got to find the answer to this, or I just want to dig into it. Andy, you sent over some quotes, some things that I think that are important to you that you feel like make the difference. And the one that really, I loved them all. The fail forward. You don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great. I love that. The one that really I like, and this is the one I wanted to pick your brain on. Share your compassion, your connections, and your knowledge with two people every day. Talk to me about that before you have to go.
Oh, you bet. So this is a wonderful lesson I learned from, actually, it's a whole different strategy, but I don't know if you guys know who Michael Port is. Used to be an actor, Book Yourself Solid, Beyond Book Solid, big speaker on the circuit now. And years ago, I read his books and I ended up using his strategy on him so well that we became connected and friends. And he came on one of my shows and it's been great. But one of the things I learned from him that now I teach on is the basic premise that instead of going out and trying to buy leads and try to figure out ways to, how do I get more of this and how do I do this and scrambling, all you have to do is in 30 minutes a day in the morning, if you just commit to sharing your compassion with two people. And let me just give you the quick way how to do this. I'll give you the short version. Facebook and social media in this way is your best friend. All you have to do is start a list. And every day you're on Facebook and you see LinkedIn and you see a person in your network or in your community that you care about that is either having a struggle or a celebration, write their name down. And you share your compassion with them. You just make a list. And then every morning you just pick two of them and you can share compassion with a thank you note, right? A condolence note, a celebration note, a voicemail, and you just commit to that and go down the list. That's number one. Share your compassion with two people every day. The number two is share your connections. So that's referrals, doing it the right way. And this is super easy too, because you're just looking for people in your life, in your community, in your business that you know someone who they need to know, right? Or you have a value for them. Now, B&I is a great way to learn how to do that, by the way, and James can talk you through that. But the way to do that is every morning you're making a list. That's all you're doing. Every day you're seeing stuff and you're just writing the names down in your phone or on your Google list or whatever. And then every morning you just take a look at it. Who are the people on my list that I need to connect and what value do I have? Great. Text connect, email connect. You're done. Third, share your knowledge. It's the same thing. The best way I have found to do this is I have a list of my top 50 VIPs, a list of my top 50 past clients, which is bigger than 50, but it's the top 50 list. And then I've got my target top 20. And I just have those lists. And every morning I look at those lists and feel like, what have I read? And I go follow publications that I know are valuable to those people groups. And then I'm looking at stuff and I'm sharing knowledge that they may not have with them to give them ideas on that business. You do that, it takes 30 minutes a day. Build your lists and just commit to sharing your knowledge, your compassion, and your connections with two of those people that you feel are important to you in your life, and you'll have all the business you ever need.
Amen.
Mic drop.
Mic drop it right there, Lendon. Mic drop.
This.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's why he's the Obi-Wan, right? I mean, that's just, it's brilliant, but it makes so much sense. It really does.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for hopping on, Andy. No, I know you got a bounce, man, but it was great catching up with you and appreciate you, brother.
Great, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you so much, too. And remember, everybody out there, if you're listening to this, the old Og Mandino, greatest salesman in the world. You can find a success 1,000 different ways, but real success is just not to fail. So you're not failing right now. You're struggling. Failing is permanent. So remember, even if it's not going great for you, you're not a failure. You're struggling. So struggle well, Be grateful for what you have. Don't be envious about what you don't. And remember, no matter how much money you make, it'll never replace your family. So don't provide for your family at the cost of your family. Be relational with them first. Serve your team and family first. Everything else take care of itself.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy.
Great words. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Why?
All right, now, can we keep up? Can we up with that? I mean, what now?
Man.
What now?
Elvis has left the building. Good grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody watching is going to think we're boring now, maybe. But no, you know what? We've actually got something great that I'm ready to talk about now, and I know James, you are too. I want Jordan, if he's got anything else before we get into sharpshoes.org, and we're talking about that because when we talk about the difference, I told you, James, that it's in our lives, in our careers, in our businesses, industries, and in our communities. And when you shared this with me, I was like, wow, how cool is this? But Jordan, if anything else you want to say to him before we transition into talking about this great organization that they've got.
No, I can't wait for James to share it. I mean, I hope you share also the reason of why you started, James, which I'm sure you're going to. But again, like one of the reasons I love, I mean, Andy alluded to it as well, but James is very, he's so relational. But what I love about him too, like I have a tattoo on my arm that says "Forever Young," and I really feel like James is just like a kid in a candy store that's just he just loves life. He loves people, and he loves what he does, and it just shows, and it's infectious. And so every time I see his name, every time I talk to him, it always makes me feel better because he's got that childish heart in a good way. And so and I love his story, makes it all the better. And so why don't you go ahead and share that with us, James?
Well, it starts actually with my dad. Anywhere I would go, my last name is Sharp, so he says, whenever you enter the room, you'd say, I'm a sharp boy. I'm a sharp boy. And I would do that as a little kid. And growing up in Michigan there, we didn't have anything, man. We were dirt poor, man. I'll be honest with you. Flint, Michigan, one of the roughest areas of the country. If you ever got onto Netflix, see Flint Town, it'll tell you a little bit about where my hood is. Coming out of that, I was just like grateful for every day, every opportunity there. But yeah, back in 1976, we grew up, we weren't having Christmas that year. Dad was laid off, much similar to what a lot of folks are struggling with right now with unemployment and stuff there. And a group heard about our family, and it was the Shriner group. And those men with the funny caps and tassels and stuff came knocking on the door, a couple days before Christmas that year, 1976. And I'll never forget. And they blessed us with bags and bags of groceries because back then, man, Mom was a miracle worker. I'd say she'd take the 5 loaves and 5 fishes and make, a feast for the multitudes. She would always say, hey, here's the macaroni and cheese minus the cheese. So she would do her best to make magic happen. But there was days where we just didn't have hardly anything to eat. So the bags of food were a huge help, and, turkey and stuffing the whole bit for Christmas dinner, a Christmas tree and presents. But what was so amazing is he brought each of us kids. There was a family of 4. I'm the oldest there, boy, girl. And we each got a pair of brand new shoes. I remember these white Converse like today. It's like, it was just burned indelible in my memory. So I just remember, how cool is this? And I wore those shoes after Christmas break back to school, and I felt like $1 million. I'm walking proud. Up to that point, I had the duct tape specials. I had my cousin's two big shoes. I would wrap them up and try to get my feet to fit in there and stuff. He was always bigger, and so I get his hand-me-downs. And I just never knew what it was like until that moment to have a pair of new shoes. So fast forward, I'm into my 40s now, and I go see a Tony Robbins event. And Jordan's been, he knows the man is the myth, the legend. But after a week with the man, his Date with Destiny, which again, if you're a Netflix fan, go watch I'm Not Your Guru. You'll see a little bit of what I went through for that week. And in there, he said, create your destiny and go after it. So I knew I was a little bit out of shape and not where I wanted to be. So I went on this mission and get healthy, lost over 50 pounds. I'm wearing new clothes, new duds, and my shoes fit differently. So I go get some new shoes, and I get some snazzy shoes, and I wear them to that network event. What Andy was alluding to earlier in the show, my BNI group, Business Network International. all these professionals. I walk in the room and I'm wearing the new duds and little skinny version of James. And they're like, dude, look at those shoes, man. Those are Sharp shoes. And it was just catchy because my last name is Sharp. I got the shoes here. And I'm going to show you one, just the kind of the Bruce Wayne's here going on here. These are, approving. So I wear these bad boys to this network meeting, and I said, man, this is cool. This is kind of catchy. And as God's providence would be, that like 2 weeks later, I get invited to go to a big gala for a group in our town of Plano called City House. And it's this wonderful organization that takes care of all these runaways and disadvantaged kids. They're CPS situation, Child Protective Service, the runaways, and they provide them clothes and shoes and work and opportunities and a roof over their head. And I heard toll after toll of all this stuff that they're outlaying, but can we, support? And I was like, interesting. I've always had this passion for shoes. How about, I give it back like it was given back to me. So I reach out to the director. I give a bunch of shoes that December, and this was the end of 18. And I actually asked my business partner, like Andy and a bunch of others there, hey, can you chip in or give me some shoes? And I'm going to take these shoes to City House and other groups here because there's a tremendous need anywhere in the country for shoes, especially athletic kids' shoes, men and women's shoes. And I just didn't realize how big a need it was. So that December 2018, we raised 500 pairs of shoes. I delivered them all the week of, before Christmas. And much like chagrin, how it would be, it brought me back to when I was 6 years old. Here we are 20 plus years later, 40 years later, good grief. And I'm being able to do this and being like the Shriner Group that brought us goods. I'm going in these schools, I'm going in these charities and bringing them shoes. And I give out all 500 pairs. And I feel like I've gotten more blessed than the people receiving the shoes. So I'm on the phone with my mom. This is 2 days before Christmas, 2018. I said, Mama, guess what? I said, you remember 1976? And she kind of blocked it out. There's a lot of our growing ups that we all deal with where we kind of block stuff from our past. She goes, I don't remember. Yeah, I do remember that group. And I said, Mama, remember when they got us those shoes? And she goes, oh my gosh, you still remember that, huh? I said, Mama, I just gave out 500 pair of shoes. And she goes, oh man, I'm so proud of you. That makes my heart warm. And later that night, guys, she had a stroke, a massive stroke. She collapsed in her bathroom that night. And 6 weeks later, we lost her. And that was a real tough time. But part of my mission was, Mama, I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to make you proud. And I'm going to do this thing. And I'm going to go all in because that's what I do. So last year in 2019, I had this goal. I want to do 5,000 pairs of shoes. And well, I can do 500 pair, right? And I just, I go out to my sphere. I go out to my personal network. I go out to my business partners. I get folks like Andy who sponsors shoes. And we did 5,000 pairs of shoes. And it was just the neatest thing because whenever I gave out a pair of shoes, I know I was going to be close to Mom. So that's kind of the story of how Sharp Shoes happened. Last year, it was kind of crazy because I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I got to do this all the way. So I went through the full designation. It's 501c3 now. It's all nonprofit, all official, which is an act of Congress right now, all this stuff. But a lot of money goes in to get it in the nonprofit. Isn't that crazy? But it's worth it now. We're on track to do 10,000 pairs this year and ain't stopping. So.
Well, tell us, James. I mean, that's an incredible story, a very touching story too. And wow, it just kind of makes you speechless. But tell everybody how they can contribute to sharpshoes.org and get involved and be a part of the organization and help these kids with the shoes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Right on the screen, you'll see it there. It's www.sharpshoes. So it's SHARP, Sharp Shoes spelled out SHOES.org, O-R-G, because it is nonprofit as God's will would be, as I was able to get sharpshoes.org. And that's a great way where you can, find out about how you can collect shoes and bring them to our office or a collection points, or if you just want to just do an online donation. It's a tax deduction for you, but also know that every dollar goes into buying shoes for these kids. And we have this big initiative. Well, we want to put a bunch of kids in the athletic shoes next month that have been affected by COVID. So.
All right.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, everybody remember sharpshoes.org, www.sharpshoes.org. James's contact information is also at the bottom. James, I also mentioned that for those Amazon freaks out there that they can actually order on Amazon and have it delivered to you guys, correct?
Absolutely. We love Amazon, and we'd love to have any support there too. And if anyone has specifics of, hey, because I've had some people, even business partners, hey, I want to reach out specific. I want to do a little mom's group and do a bunch of shoes. We'd love to have any help, whether it's 1 pair, 10 pairs, 100 pairs, whatever it is, $5, $10, $20, $100, every dollar, every bit goes to buy these shoes. And let's bless some kids, man. There's a bunch of people hurting right now. COVID-19 has been devastating in so many levels, and we can make a difference. And it starts with us taking that first step.
Amen. Amen. Great show today. Wow. Jordan, you knock it out of the park every time. I mean,
hey, I just bring people on. They're the
but it's a testament to real producers too. And I want to always remind people, especially that are in the real estate industry, whether it's the support industry, whether it's realtors, the people in this group are exceptional people. One of the things we talk about, and you've got this in your bio, James, about wanting to be the exception. One of the things we talk about on The Difference is going from acceptable to exceptional. Yeah. And I am just blown away each and every show that Jordan has at the level of people that he brings on. Just the heart, the servant's heart, the leadership, just this. James, you and I talked about before, all of our industries kind of at some point in time have had a black eye.
Absolutely.
But there's some really exceptional people in those industries, and real producers brings that to light. And so, Jordan, I just want to commend you for that, and thank you for being a part of The Difference. And Jordan, I'm going to let you close this out if you got anything else for James, and then you can wrap us up. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate the kind words, and Lendon, same goes to you, man. I appreciate having the opportunity to do this and to have our partners come on, and for those that are again looking for more ways to expose themselves to more people and connect. Lendon's got a great thing he's got going on over here as well, and James, man, always a pleasure. A lot of people love you. I'm definitely one of them, and appreciate everything that you do, and so. Hopefully we'll have a Real Producers event in person real soon, man. I'd love to see those sharp shoes in action, like they were.
Another pair just for you, bud.
I bet you do, man.
And I always say there's this adage: we're better together.
That's right.
Why not lock arms, guys, men and women? We got to do our part here at the local level. It's going to be hyper local going forward, pulling this post-COVID stuff, and we can make a difference in this uncertain times. Yeah, we can be the voice of reason, voice of certainty, and all this mess. And I'm going to do my part. And I just appreciate being on the show, Jordan. It's been an honor.
That's right. And that's the difference right there. So, hey, appreciate you, James. Thank you, Lendon, as always. Next Thursday, 11 o'clock, we will be here. And so tune in next week. Have a good week, all.